All right, everybody. I'm going to do one of these. Haven't done in a long time. Haven't done a knife review. Well, a fairly long time. Did multi-tool reviews. By the way, welcome to Dave's Man Cave for all your manly needs. So I like OTF knives. First few ones I bought were Vespas and Chinese ones just because I was like, I'm not going to spend any kind of money if they're just a gimmick. But I actually did grow to like them. And then bought some Microtechs. I've had several. This is the only one that we've got left. Is a Ultratech, and overall it's a great knife. It's good steel. Microtech makes a really good product. The one thing that I've always hated about the Ultratech is that it's very long for what it is. The handles are very skinny, so it wants to turn in your hand a little bit because they're very smooth and slick. And I hate the damn actuator button on these things. The machining on this stuff is so deep and so sharp. It's just uncomfortable to use. And I know there'll be people in the comments are going to go, oh, well, real men have big, thick calluses. Yeah, that's great if you're a welder or something. I'm not. So I work in the corporate world. I don't have, 3 millimeter thick calluses and cracked hands. That's just not, what I'm going for here in life. So these things are just way more sharp than they need to be. And I know some people say, well, that's in case your hands are wet, you have gloves on. I get it. But other people have ones that are just as useful, that if you do like the fidget factor, if you do this for more than a minute or two, you're going to be sitting there with your thumb chewed up or even bleeding. It's really, there's something about the edges right around the X where they're just a little bit too sharp, and I've thought about sanding it down, but I'm like, no, I'm just not going to use it that much. And as a result, I don't. The other thing I don't like so much about the Microtech is this one isn't as uncomfortable as some knives that I've had, but that glass breaker, if you were to use a reverse grip to stab down into something, that's also not that comfortable. I know it can be used as applying pressure to a pressure point on somebody. You can use it as a persuasion device. Well, the problem with that is, yeah, it's effective as a persuasive device against soft tissue. You can see just by pushing, it leaves a nice indentation. It's uncomfortable. Well, that same soft tissue is my hand. It's an anti-persuasion device. It's persuading me not to use it like that. So, in any case, I'd gone to a Guardian Tactical before, and I loved it. I loved the design. The problem that I had with it, and I'll put a link up here, somewhere up here in the video, to my Guardian Tactical Recon 035, but it was too slick. It was kind of like an Apple device. I've got these Apple TV remotes, the 4K remotes, and they're super thin and they're super rounded and smooth. And Apple does this to make it seem premium so they could charge you a lot of money for basically a Chinese, piece of electronics. The problem with them is that I'm constantly dropping them because I do have, somewhat large hands. I'm trying to hold it like this, and it's so slippery. It's so smooth and slippery, and there's no knurling, there's nothing for traction, that it's like trying to hold on to a bar of wet soap. It's just constantly slipping on my hand. I'm dropping it on the floor, shit like that. And so I had gotten rid of them. Axial Gear, I had gotten some of theirs. They're also USA made. All of these are US made OTFs. And this one has a little bit more traction on it, but it still suffers a little bit from what the Microtech suffers from, and that it's just a little slick. The actuator button is not as sharp. In fact, it's just about the right amount of sharpness. And I do like this knife a lot. It's got a 20 CV blade, made in America, under $300. It's a really nice knife. So I was up at Smoky Mountain Knife Works at their retail store over the weekend on Saturday, and I saw the new G2. So the complaints that I had about the original, I'm hoping are going to be sort of remedied here. So this is the new Recon 035 G2. And here's the selling point of this, I think. I can already tell it just feels really good in the hand. It's got some contours here. It's got much more aggressive but not being sharp areas here for traction. The button is nice and wide, even though the knife itself is barely, it's within like a millimeter, but the button is much wider and it doesn't have those super sharp machinings there. You've got these little steps on here, which are big and deep enough to get nice traction, but you can do this all day without it beating up your thumb. I also like the fact that it's ramped in two different directions. If you look at the angle there, you'll see that it is angled sharply for the tip of your thumb, but then it wants to spread that all out across your whole thumb when you pull it back. It makes for a really nice experience. What I also like about it is that it has some ceramic ball bearings that are underneath here that float underneath that go on this highly polished stainless steel mirror polished surface. So this is the smoothest OTF I've ever used. So we'll go through the specs real quick. What are the specs on this one? This is the, let's see. So it's the tactical, Guardian Tactical Recon 035 G2. You can get them, I think they're all now, and this one is in Magna Cut. You can get it in satin, blasted. They've got a couple different finishes on the blades. They've got a dagger. They've got serrated combinations. They've got a drop point or spear point or something like that. They've got all different handle configurations. So they've got a lot of cool stuff. And what I really like that they've done here is I like the shape of the Tanto. It's a good, strong, tactical, good piercing blade. You give up having that belly. So in some ways, this might be a better slicer, but that's going to slice well. It's good for different kinds of cuts. You've got that tip for a draw cut. You've got your secondary point there for a draw cut that way. I like that it drops down just a little bit. Just puts that tip more in line, almost like a spear point. It kind of comes down just a little bit, but you got that strong Tanto, nice blade. I usually get these in stonewash just so that when they get scratched up from being used or going in and out, it came that way. You've already got that black wash. You've already got looks like some patina on it. It is a flat grind, and up here it feels a little bit more like a hollow grind. Actually, it's more of I guess they're both flat grinds. That just has a little bit of a curved bevel as it works its way into the flat grind. Let's go into the individual specs. Overall length, 7.75 inches. Blade length is 3.3. The blade width is 3/4 of an inch, so this side tall. Thickness is 0.14, so about 1/8 of an inch. You've got CPM Magna Cut. This one's Tanto with a flat grind and black wash. The handle length itself is 4.38, which is just a little bit shorter than those. It is aircraft grade aluminum, 3.81 ounces, and it's double action OTF. So some things I think make this probably, in my opinion, the best American-made OTF is you've got basically these three. Well, you got four. You got Heretic as well, and Heretics are great. Heretic is Anthony Marfione, the president and owner of Microtech. It's his son. So similar work ethic, similar approach to materials and craftsmanship and all that, but just his own designs. Heretic makes a really good one too, but that's starting to get expensive. I think Ultratechs are now up around high threes, low $400 mark, depending on the configuration. The axial gear is around $260, so they are just a little bit cheaper. They're just also a little bit bigger, and I don't want to say it's not as good or it's not a good knife. It's actually an excellent knife, but now that I've got this, I'm probably going to sell this and get rid of this one or give it away or something. So this is just, to me, feels like it's just a little bit heavier duty. It's definitely got smoother action. It's got more comfort on that button. The action is just, you can't convey it in a video. It just glides. It's just such a nice movement. And the contours, everything is really geared towards holding the knife and using it. And that's the problem I struggle with a lot of these. They slide in and out of the pocket nice. They're beautiful. You touch it, and you're like, oh, that feels really good. It feels quality. But then you got that goddamn button, which I'm already, just from playing with it, my thumb's already getting sore. It just chews the shit out of you needlessly. That's the point. It's like, yeah, if you've always got gloves on, you wouldn't notice it. If you happen to have thick calluses on your thumbs or whatever, you got leather thumbs, you might not notice it that much, but not everybody does that. Not all of us have those kinds of jobs. So to me, it's like, I don't know why they do it that way. It's so needless. You can get the job done better without doing it that way. You can have one that fires just as securely. Your thumb isn't slipping off without it really chewing you up. So other companies are doing it that way. I just don't know why they do. And I think other Microtechs probably don't have it that way. But the other thing so the biggest thing about the Microtech is I just hate their button. It's really painful. I don't like that they use these proprietary screws. The heads, you got to get a special tool from them. And then it's, the Ultratech, they got other models and stuff that are wider, more like this, but they're also a lot more money. But their Ultratech is kind of like their go-to EDC, and it's just too skinny. It's like trying to grip a pen or a pencil. It's not tall enough this way, and so it has a tendency, if you are cutting, you can use it, but you feel like you have to grip it tighter because it wants to twist in your hand. And so then your hand fatigues that little bit faster. So between the button and that, I don't really like the Microtechs. There's also a lot of wiggle and play and noise in that. You go to the axial shift, better actuator, not as much grippy this way, but at least it doesn't want to twist in your hands because it's taller and it just sits there a little bit better. But the handle is ginormous compared to the size of the blade. If I grab this here, I got all this sticking out. To me, it's needlessly big in your pocket. And the Heretics were kind of like that too. These are just really long when you look at the size of the blade versus the size of the handle. There's a ratio here. And you got the blade the same length. And I don't know, I guess when you look at it this way, the blades are the same length, but look at the difference in the handle. Like it's significantly more in your pocket. This, even with my XL or 2XL glove hands, my fingers in that first notch, I still got a little bit hanging out. Like that is enough for me to get my hand very comfortably on. This also doesn't dig into your hands. That's the other problem with this one, is that when you are using it, that sharp is now in the soft webbing of your hands. I don't know how many people have calluses here. If you do, you're probably doing too much of that. And so when you are using it, it tends to chew up into your hand here and start to give you that hot spot. This being nice and rounded, there's no sharp edges. The grooves are there to grip you, but they're bigger and farther spaced apart, so they don't have to be sharp. Much more comfortable to use. So this, I think, is just a vastly superior knife. I had the first ones, and I really liked. They were more on par with Axial, an improvement over Microtech, but still a little too slippery. Not enough grip and texture and things like that. They've definitely stepped it up. The deployment is just as good as ever. Very comfortable, very smooth, very slick. And this is smooth and slick. I mean, it feels premium like these other finishes, but there's just so much more machining going on. There's so much more texture to it. It just really helps you grip it. And on this, you have your, same as here. I don't know if these are T6s or T8s or whatever, but you've got standard Torx bits. So if you need to take it apart, clean it or something like that, you can do so without having to go buy a proprietary tool or send it in. And this is a reversible pocket clip that you can do yourself, which here, I guess you need a special tool, and then maybe you can spin that around. I guess if you want to grab a pair of pliers or you need something to grab that without nicking it and scratching it up, I guess you can unscrew that and then move it over. On this one, you can reverse it yourself with one screw. Here, they gave you that ability as well. And the stone wash clip matches the stone wash deployment button, which matches the stone wash blade. It's just a really nice combination of things. You know, there's nothing revolutionary going on in the OTF knife world in this EDC type of category, but it is nice seeing someone do their own thing where they're not copying anybody else. They're actually taking probably the best elements from other companies of, what works, what do people tend to respond to. But these guys actually listen. A lot of people complained that knife was great, but you had good traction here. But as you're pushing the button, the thing is sliding in your hands and you're really having to grip it because it was just all slick. There was just nothing on there to really grab your hands. And that's not what you want. When you're going to use a knife, especially if you're having to use a quote-unquote tactical knife, you want something that's going to put some grip in your hand. Not enough that it's tearing up your pockets or chewing up your hands, but you want to be able to index it properly by feel. You want to know that if I grab that, it's not going anywhere. When I'm deploying it, I'm not losing my grip on it because the spring pressure is, having the thing shoot out of my hand. It's just a really nice action. the edge out of the box. Very nice. I'll strop it a little bit just to clean up any little micro burrs and stuff, but for a factory edge, that is more than adequate. So very nice. All around, you know, it's a good OTF. It's like your Microtech. The steels, you know, MagnaCut versus CV20 or S35VN. I'm not a steel snob. It's like, whatever. They're all good steels. They're all going to work. Don't really care. Lifetime warranty, by the way. But what is nice is the ergonomics. Which one fits your hand? Which one is fun to fidget with? Which one is more comfortable to use? And honestly, this one's way better to use than this. It's just got a better deployment button and it's got nice smooth action. Oh, that fires really hard, so the spring is stiff. And that's the other problem here. The stiff on this is so stiff. And you want that for that fast, hard firing, although I don't understand why you need it that much. But because of that, you're putting all that pressure. You're having to do a lot more pressure. And it's focusing it all on those on the top X. You try doing it down here and it's not that bad. These edges here, it's that X. It's too deep. And so that corner, that corner, that corner, and that corner just rip into you. If you do it like this, it's actually not that bad. It's just a lot of pressure. Like my wife has a hard time firing this thing. She has to sit there and almost do it both hands. And so to me, that's more than it needs to be. Not only does this have a wider, less sharp, smoother operation, it's a less powerful spring. But it's deploying just as nice. There might be a minuscule difference in the blade, how fast it fired, but I don't need a blade that slams forward and slams home. All that does is takes the steel and the block on the blade and smacks it into the aluminum, which might introduce more play over time, oh, that's another thing. Let's check the blade play. Now, OTFs, always gonna have blade play. Hear that? There's a lot of blade play. The shift has even more. A little bit more. Half the blade play. It's always there. Unless you get a deadlock, they're always going to have some blade play. But this has half as much as that. That's got just about as much, honestly. The forward and back blade play, you can see how much that wiggles. Just as bad. A little bit less. It's definitely got less on that. So more grip, more comfort, smoother deployment, and it's smaller in your pocket. It's shorter by a fairly good bit. So I don't see how you can go wrong. If you want an American-made OTF by a good company that'll stand behind their product and has a good lifetime warranty, this is who you should be talking to. I know there's a lot of Microtech fanboys, and I got nothing against them. I just don't like this particular model. I think the button sucks. And Axial gear, but they're out of stock a lot of times. They make smaller batches and stuff, but they make a good knife also. But for less than the Microtech and only 20 bucks more, this is what I recommend. This will be the one that lives in my pocket most days. So there you go. This is the new G2. Make sure when you're looking at them, you're not getting the old one. Look for the G2 because that is the redesign. I love that they listen to their customers, like me. And now I like it again.